The author of John's Gospel was a wonderful storyteller, a master storyteller. His stories are loaded with human details of feeling, events. We can all think back to such stories as the woman caught in adultery, or the woman at the well, or Thomas with his doubts, or Jesus, the risen Jesus, cooking fish on the seashore for his disciples. Would like to focus today on another one of John's stories, the raising of Lazarus. The story is familiar, but listen especially to the little human details, the descriptions of feelings and action. So the sisters of Lazarus sent word to Jesus, saying, "Master, the one you love is ill." When Jesus heard this, he said, "This illness is not to end in death, but is for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was ill, he remained for 2 days in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to his disciples, "Let us go back to Judea." When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, but Mary sat at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise." Martha said to him, "I know he will rise in the resurrection on the last day." Martha said to him, "I know he will rise." Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord. I have come to believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world." He became perturbed and deeply troubled and said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Sir, come and see." And Jesus wept. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" But some of them said, "Could not the one who opened the eyes of the blind man have done something so that this man would not have died?" So Jesus, perturbed again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay across it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the dead man's sister, said to him, "Lord, by now there will be a stench. He has been dead for 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. And Jesus raised his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me, but because of the crowd here I have said this, that they may believe that you sent me." And when he had said this, he cried out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The dead man came out, tied hand and foot with burial bands, and his face was wrapped in cloth. So Jesus said to them, "Untie him and let him go." 2 details in that passage strike me today. Jesus wept. Jesus cried out in a loud voice. You know, we are all Lazarus, I think. All of us are bound hand and foot and enclosed in a tomb of our own weakness, and with a large stone preventing our escape. Jesus weeps at our condition, but in a loud voice, just as he called out to Lazarus to come out of the stench of his tomb, he calls us out of the tomb of our weaknesses. He calls us to a life we were all meant to live. A happy life with a yearning to be closer to God. So what is our tomb? To what are we being called from our tomb? Our tomb might be arrogance, or conceit, or a false sense of self-worth. Lazarus, come out. Come out from your tomb, be unbound. Come back to a humbler, less self-centered, and more unassuming lifestyle. Our tomb might be annoyance, or bullying, or domineering, or anger at the people around us. Lazarus, come out from your tomb. Be unbound. Come back to a life that forgives, that refuses to let fester grudges and bitterness over those around me. Our tomb might be envy or jealousy over things that others have that we feel that we lack. Lazarus, come out from your tomb. Be unbound. Come back to a lifestyle that can celebrate and admire the success of others. Our tomb might be jealousy or envy over what others have that we feel that we lack. Lazarus, come out from your tomb. Be unbound. Come back to a lifestyle that is simpler and less cluttered. Our tomb might be an overindulgence in passing pleasures. Lazarus, come out from your tomb. Be unbound. Come back to a lifestyle free of the habits, emotions, and actions that are so impulsively around us. Our tomb might be the burden of too many activities and commitments. Lazarus, come out from your tomb. Be unbound. Come back to a simpler, slower-paced lifestyle. Our tomb might be simply inertia, laziness, or procrastination. Lazarus, come out from your tomb. Be unbound. Come back to a lifestyle driven by the energy and zeal for the everyday tasks. Jesus is calling us to come out from our tombs. Do we hear him?
If you have good news, we expect you to want to share it. Salvation in Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who for love of us and for our salvation came down from heaven. Salvation in his name, and he is the only Savior, is what we are on earth for. Therefore, all those who spread the good news of salvation in Jesus Christ, we should encourage them. I can speak, but how many people can I reach alone? But the media the television people, the radio, the newspapers, and all those who use the computer and its derivatives in various ways to spread the gospel. We must thank them. We must encourage them. We must work with them so that they can continue to spread the good news. There's so much news that is not so wonderful in the world, but there is also news that is wonderful on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We encourage them and beg God to bless them, especially the Shalom World TV. God bless you.
Shalom World, God's own channel.